notice him at first. With his small stature and his reticent nature, I quickly forgot his presence in my English class. He seldom spoke, and if so, it was a sardonic comment.
Let's talk about something positive. Hiroshima.
Over time, I came to find humor in his sarcastic comments to class discussion, contributions to class discussion, and after a while, I eagerly anticipated them. There was something slightly endearing about his blunt perception of the world, concealed roses beneath his 40 opinions. Maybe I was the only one who could identify them. When he approached me, he seemed less aloof, as if a stale cookie had become microwaved into a gooey, moist treat. One day at the end of English, I found him staring at the doorway, requesting to walk me to my next class. A boy had never treated me with such chivalry before. Prior to the 8th grade, I was used to boys slamming doors in my face in remorse, calling me a piece of shit, or threatening to break my fangs. This boy was profoundly different from the ones at my old school. He remembered things about me that I only briefly mentioned and laughed at all of my humorless jokes. For the first time, someone besides my parents had evoked confidence within me. I learned to speak with conviction instead of diffidence. It's as if overnight, his significance accumulated from a casual friend to a tangible representation of how far I had come from the timorous girl I was a year ago. He was what I envisioned as a reward for all of my suffering. To put it simply, he was everything. As I became increasingly infatuated with him, his flaws gradually faded from my awareness. I was so elated to have a romantic interest that I learned to tolerate his snark. Even when his comments were laced with contempt, I counted the days he refrained from showing affection and adapted to keeping my phone next to me in the overwhelming hope that he would text me. It was unhealthy and obsessive, but all I could see in my distorted perception was a boy that loved me. That was enough. We'd been hanging out, dating, whatever you call it, for a month when he finally asked me out. It was miraculous. My jubilation overshadowed the knot of doubt forming in my stomach. Labeling the doubt as butterflies, I got dressed in my favorite outfit and applied makeup tentatively so it looked flawless. The date was perfect at the beginning. We were lying on lush grass in a fenced-in area at a 9/11 Memorial Park. In an enclosed space, he opened up to me. We conversed about our hopes for the future, our regrets in the past, and what time would be most convenient to eat pizza for lunch. What happened next was so abrupt. Suddenly he rose from the grass, threw my bag across the park, and ran away. Naively thinking we were playing an impromptu game of tag, I ran after him. I hesitated before jumping over the fence, so as I was slightly scared of heights, still, I didn't want him to witness my cowardice, so I jumped without any concern for my balance. Ignoring the frog on my ankle, I hobbled to where he was standing in the parking lot. Wait, he wasn't standing. He was walking away. Wait! Where are you going? To this day, I still find it disturbing how rapidly I morphed from a confident girl to a lost puppy. His lost puppy, his eyes, the same ones that crinkled with tenderness in my presence, were aloof. He looked at me in a way that was reminiscent of a big brother attempting to rid himself of a burdensome sibling.
I thought I texted you I had to leave.
To my mortification, I remembered my phone was off. He interpreted my humiliation as an expression of understanding and resumed walking away. Why are you leaving? Because I have to go. He smirked, but there was concealed emotion underneath his expression. Fear. Don't follow me. My dad wants me home. That moment was the first hint of my failure to comprehend he was as broken as me. I wanted to scream and curse and attempt to harm him with my mediocre karate skills, but all I could do was laugh hysterically, mirthlessly. I was laughing so hard that I failed to notice a small shadow disappearing down the sidewalk. When my fit of laughter finally halted, I recognized with impending panic that I was all alone. Since I had only moved to this town 3 months ago, I had no idea where I was. Mentally, I debated for a few moments whether or not I should call my parents. Maybe I could forgive him. My mom expressed concern regarding him earlier, and I was anxious that if she knew what he did, I would never be able to see him again. Maybe he was my last chance. Maybe he was the only person who would ever love me. As a result, I spotted an animal clinic across the street. My friend works at an animal clinic on Saturdays. Maybe I could say that we decided to visit my friend, get pizza, and I had to leave moments before my parents' arrival. My parents had never known the truth. Yes. All I had to do was cross the street. I became dizzy with anxiety. The street had no traffic lights or stop signs. I wouldn't be able to predict passing cars. Every time I took a step forward, a speeding car barreled across the road. This returned me to my original location, the sidewalk. I wanted to call him, beg him to return, but the thought inspired a better plan. Why was I trying so hard to protect him? I had to protect myself. It was as if tattered wings were sewn on my wounded back. I was no longer his. I was free. The stitches might have been jagged, but they were present. They were mine. Flying down the street, I hesitantly called my mom. Her voice sounded garbled against the sudden rain showers, but she was coming. She was coming. It was then when I allowed myself to stop feeling. I removed my hat bitterly. It was reminiscent of a cat and had long black pom-poms at the bottom. He told me it was adorable. The first week of our relationship, we played catch a bit. The hat smelled too much like him now. Leather mingled with his musk. It was now tarnished, and I crumpled it in my hands. Maybe if my exposed head was hit with enough raindrops, I could go numb and never feel anything again. I needed to be numb. I remember my mom finding me after 30 minutes in the cold. I remember going to a bakery in hopes of brightening my damper mood. I remember becoming irritated for I wasn't able to taste my red velvet cupcake. It was like swallowing a container of fat. It tasted like nothing because I felt nothing. I remember running to my room and kicking my drenched clothing to the corner. I knew that I could never wear that outfit and feel special again. Instead, I would see his cold eyes and hear the sound of his feet on the sidewalk as he walks away from me. I stood up singing, belting for hours without break. My legs were turning into jello, but I could not lie down. If I lay down, I might see the clouds and hear his voice as he interpreted them. I was done. Upon returning to school on Monday, I expected him to apologize and plead for my forgiveness, but he never did. We never made eye contact. The first few nights felt empty without our daily, hour-long conversations. I was unable to understand why I felt so angry all the time. Part of me was ashamed for having the audacity to feel devastated, but also slightly liberated. It was on Thanksgiving night when I finally felt again. I was yelling at my mom. I don't even remember what, but we were yelling. I'd always been agitated, but this time it was different. Instead of responding with a series of hollers as per usual, my mom looked at me, dead in the eyes, and said in a soft voice, "Honey, I think this is about him." All of my feelings, which I worked so hard to deny, had resurfaced. I quaked with sobs, feeling my mom's warm hands soothingly rub my back. I knew it was going to be okay. It was going to take a while, but I was going to be okay.